Okay, I have a story. It was a very defining moment, very significant moment in my faith, in my walk with God. If you're a parent, you know you have these mornings with your children that sometimes you want it to be better, but it just doesn't go well. And I was having one of those mornings with my son. We were just not getting along, and normally we do really get along. And so when we don't get along, I get really upset, and that happens sometimes in life, right? Excuse me. Anyway, he left for school in kind of a huff, and it felt really dejected and bad. Yeah, I was just feeling really moody, and he was feeling really moody, and it was just not good. So we got into a little tiff, and families are like that sometimes. But he left, and we didn't end on a good note, and I just felt so depressed. I felt really down. So I went into the living room and I started praying, and because I just felt this terrible depression come over me, and I started to think about, I was just thinking about all of the things in my life that were not right. I was feeling down about my health and about some other things that were going on, and I just brought it to God, and I did it in a very respectful way. You know, I wasn't blaming God or anything like that. I was just talking to him and crying out to him for help. And one of the things that I expressed that kind of just came out of me was, I said, I just feel like you don't love me, God. I feel like you don't love me. And I wasn't saying I feel like you don't love me because these things are happening. I was just adding that to the pile. And also, I feel like you don't love me. You don't love me. You love other people, but you don't love me. I mean, really, it was just a whiny, kind of embarrassing situation. So I fell asleep on the sofa. I cried until I fell asleep. I mean, hormones or something. I don't know what was going on. And I think I slept for 2 hours. When I woke up, it was time to move the car on the other side of the street. And I was thinking, oh, okay, I gotta go put on a coat and go, I just was on to the next thing. And I thought, gosh, how embarrassing all that stuff I just said to God before. That was so embarrassing. But because it was still kind of with me, So I put on a big pair of sunglasses because my eyes were all puffy, and I went outside to go move the car across the street because that's how our town is. So anyway, we have opposite side of the street parking. It's very irritating. So anyway, here's the part of the story that's a little odd. My husband and I have this joke that we have everyone on our block at the time, not anymore, but at the time it seemed like everyone on our street had white cars or off-white cream-colored cars. Now the reason why this is important is because, well, this is not why, but it gets important later, is that my husband and I, we had this joke because my husband does not like white cars. He thinks that they blur the lines of the car. So he has me convinced that this is the case. I never really thought about it before, but we're very, I don't know, we're very nerdy about these things. So as I'm walking across the street, I'm laughing to myself thinking, look at all these cars. They're all the same color. Why? Like, was there a sale on white cars? Like, these are the kinds of things that occupy my mind. So as I'm going across the street to my navy blue, midnight blue car, or whatever you want to call it, I'm thinking that to myself. But as I'm crossing the street, out of the periphery of my eye, I see a white car slowly coming down the street. That made me laugh. And I'm thinking, oh, well, they're going to take my parking spot, of course, right? Because it's just that kind of day. So, and I didn't even care enough about that to go quicker or faster or try to beat this person to get the space. I was just like, whatever. I don't care. If I don't get this space, I'll just drive around and find another space. So I get in the car, and as I'm crossing the street to get into the car, I notice the person, as I'm crossing, the person passes me, and I can see out of the other corner of my eye now, they're down at the end of the street. Looks like they're turning around. So I was just like, oh, maybe they're trying to park here closer. I don't know. So I get in my car and I'm turning on, it's my husband's car, and I'm not used to driving this car because my car was in the shop or something. I don't know. So yeah, my car was in the shop. So my husband's car, like I don't drive it very often. So I'm like trying to figure out all the gadgets, and I'm turning on the windshield wiper fluid, and when I didn't want to, and I notice now, again, out of the corner of my eye, this person is edging up to my car, this white car. So I'm thinking, oh no, this person wants directions. I am not good with directions. So I attempt to open the window, and there's windshield wiper fluid flowing, and I'm laughing. This person, this woman does not look happy. She looks stressed. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, of all the people to ask for directions, you had to ask me because I am terrible at this. I'm not good at directions. But I wanted to help her as best as I could. So I said, oh, are you lost? And that's pretty funny too. Are you lost? No, she was not lost. I was lost. Anyway, so she says, I just wanted to tell you that God loves you. And I'm like, oh, and I'm ashamed to say that I thought, oh boy, here we go. She's crazy. This is a crazy person. It's a terrible thing, but I did think that. And then she was like, she starts saying all this stuff to me that I said to God in the morning. And oh gosh, I can never tell this story without getting upset. But anyway, so I just was like, wow, this woman must be outside my window listening to me. That's what I thought. But no, I realized as she was talking, she was saying all these things. Like, I can tell you some of the stuff she said, but I won't tell you the personal parts because I just don't want to share that. But she said, first she started out saying, God loves you so much, but then she started speaking in an I, like in a first person voice. And for a moment, I just was like, I'm talking to God, like God is talking to me through this woman. And so he answered all my questions, like, that I had asked. And I was like, oh my gosh, God really hears me when I pray. And he sent this woman in this car to come tell me, which didn't make any sense. And my brain kept starting to go back to that little voice in my head that would say, oh, well, she's just crazy, or, oh, she might have heard you because you were being so loud and you were crying. But it's like, I've got storm windows, man. Like, there's no way she would have heard me from the street. And I wasn't being that loud. I was just crying mostly, unintelligibly, really. But I knew what I was saying to him. But anyway, and then I noticed she was crying, and I said, thank you so much. And she put her hand up. She went like this, and she had tears like running down her face. And she drove away. And then I just sat there in the car shaking. And I was like, oh my gosh, God just talked to me. And he has a sense of humor because he sent a woman in a white car just because he knows that we make stupid jokes about white cars, which is so stupid. Anyway, that's my story. I'm gonna go play it back and see if I can even post this.